The Hour of the Ox by Zhou Dedong. At night, Tang X woke from a dream and felt a hollow space beside him. He opened his eyes and found that his wife was gone again. A shiver of dread ran through him at once. One night more than 10 days earlier, Tang X had suddenly awakened and reached out to touch his wife. She was not there. He thought she had left because it was too warm and gone to sleep in the other room. His house had a bed in the study, so he did not pay much attention. Before long, on another night, half awake and half asleep, he vaguely saw his wife quietly get out of bed and drift out of the room. When he got up at daybreak, he found her sleeping beside him. He shook her awake and asked, "You didn't sleep in the study last night?" "No." "Then where did you sleep?" "I slept right here." Tang X thought for a moment and said, "I think I saw you go out." His wife smiled. "You must have been dreaming." Now this was the third time. Tang X slowly sat up, switched on the lamp by the bed, and looked at the clock on the wall. It was a little past 3. The first 2 times had seemed to be at about the same hour. At this hour, both space and time feel uncertain, and no one can ever truly wake up. Midnight is not the deepest part of the night. These days, nightlife is thriving. At 12, many people are still awake, eating barbecue at night markets, singing in karaoke bars, or drinking in pubs. Even those who have gone to sleep are only in light, shallow dreams. But after 3, the night has sunk to its lowest point, and the yin energy is at its heaviest. Most thieves do their work at this hour. After this time, the yang energy slowly begins to rise again. On the bedside table stood a frame containing a wedding photo of Tang X and his wife from 2 years earlier. In the lamplight, his wife smiled quietly. She was an honest, kind woman, though her health had never been good, and she was always worn and pale. Still, she was strong-willed. Even though her husband was as sturdy as an ox, she never let him take care of her. In this house, the man ruled and the woman yielded. In truth, Tang X had not originally been a male chauvinist, but his wife, so humble and so cautious, was always reading his face and trying to please him. Over time, without meaning to, he had begun ordering her around. Still, he had never bullied her. Tang X got quietly out of bed and walked out. He first checked the bathroom. No one was on the toilet. Then he headed for the study. It was more than 10 steps from the bedroom to the study, and his pace grew slower and slower. When he pushed open the study door, he did it as gently as he could. Aside from this study, there was nowhere else in the house where anyone could sleep. She could only be here. She had to be here. As the door opened wider and wider, an empty bed came into view before Tang X. He stood in the doorway for a long time without moving. He was thinking. His wife was a traditional person. She could not possibly sneak out in the dead of night to meet a lover. She could not possibly be sleepwalking. And she certainly would not go out to steal. Then what had she gone out for? He could not figure it out no matter how hard he tried. About 10 minutes later, Tang X returned to the bedroom. He could not go back to sleep. He had to lie there and wait to see exactly when his wife would appear. When he passed the security door, he stopped. In fact, he had not heard a sound at all, but he had a feeling that there was someone in the hallway. Anyone appearing at this hour always feels uncanny. 2 hours earlier, such a person might have been coming back from a late night out. 2 hours later, he might be out for his morning exercise. But what kind of person appears right now? He could not come up with any fitting guess. Tang X pressed his eye to the peephole and looked out. The hallway was lit by a dim yellow bulb. Sure enough, there was a man who seemed very old, moving silently up the stairs. His steps slow and careful. Tang X watched him closely. One step, another step, another step. He never once saw the man's face. This building had 6 floors, with 1 apartment on each floor. Tang X lived on the 5th floor. He and his wife had moved in more than half a year ago, and they had never once heard footsteps from upstairs. Nor had they ever met anyone coming up the stairs at the door. He had always thought the upper floor was empty. Could this old man have just moved in? Tang X quietly left the peephole and returned to the bedroom. "Where did you go?" Tang X jumped. It was his wife. She was lying stiffly in bed, asking in a low voice. He bent down and asked in astonishment, "Zihuan, where did you go?" "I didn't go anywhere." "But you were gone just now." "Nonsense. Just now I watched you walk out. I asked you where you were going, asked you several times, and you didn't say a word." Tang X froze. He was a physics teacher. He did not believe in anything supernatural. Once, his wife had actually brought a blind fortune teller home with her. She trusted those charlatans completely. When Tang X came home from work and saw him, he scolded her good and hard. He had never lost his temper with her so badly before. He felt that she had insulted his profession. Tang X suddenly laughed, climbing back onto the bed as he laughed. "I get it." Tang X was not stupid, he said to his wife. "I get it. I must have sleepwalked. It was only a delaying tactic. He firmly believed that his wife had gone out and come back during the few minutes when he had gone to the study to look for her. The night was so quiet, and yet Tang X had heard nothing when she opened the security door. That showed how light her movements were. And when she lied, her expression was so convincing. She had no intention of telling him the truth at all. There had to be a deep secret hidden behind it. Tang X did not want to alarm the snake by striking the grass. That night, he lay in bed pretending to sleep. He had to see with his own eyes what was going on. He kept his back to his wife and did not move. His ears were pricked, listening to her breathing. It was the first time he had realized how hard it was to lie on a comfortable bed with his eyes closed and stay awake through the night. Sleep kept surging toward him like waves, trying over and over to drown him, and he struggled again and again like a drowning man fighting his way back to the surface. At last he made it past midnight, and the night grew deeper and deeper. His wife did not stir at all. Tang X decided he should turn over and face her, so that he could keep a clearer watch on her. As he thought this, he pretended to scratch his thigh and rolled over with emotion. His eyes flew wide open at once. His wife was already gone. When had she left? Tang X switched on the lamp by the bed and looked at the clock on the wall. 3:little. Based on the experience of the previous day, she should be back soon. Tang X glanced at the bedside table. His wife in the frame was still smiling softly. He turned off the light, closed his eyes in the dark, and waited uneasily. He had already decided that the moment she came back in, he would turn the light on at once and see how she explained herself. But time slipped by little, and she still did not return. No one knew how long had passed before Tang X heard the sound of cooking from the kitchen. He got out of bed and went to the kitchen door, then stared in shock. It was not yet dawn and she had already started making breakfast. The two of them had very regular routines and had never gotten up this early. He called out to her, "Zhihuan, what are you doing cooking? Why make breakfast so early? I have something to do at work today, so I have to leave early." She worked at a factory as a quality inspector. "Where did you go last night?" "I slept in the study." His wife busied herself with the cooking as she spoke. "I was afraid of waking you up when I got up in the morning. You should sleep a little longer." Tangs was sure something serious had happened in this house. His honest, plain-spoken wife had started playing mind games with him. He went back to bed and thought. What on earth did his wife do every night? Was she sleepwalking? But why was she lying? Perhaps her nature had not changed. Perhaps she was still an honest person. Perhaps she was still in the middle of a sleepwalking state. All sleepwalkers are clever-minded and quick on their feet. During the day, Tang X called his wife and told her he was going down to the countryside to listen to a class, and would not be back until the next day. His wife said, "Don't drink too much." After work, Tang X ate something alone in a small restaurant. He dragged his feet until dark, then returned to the building where he lived and hid on a bench beside the lawn. The bench was partly blocked by a willow tree and would be hard to spot in the dark. From that bench to the entrance there were several dozen meters. His eyes stayed fixed on the entrance. It was stuffy outside, and mosquitoes from every direction swarmed around him. Though he had put on plenty of mosquito repellent, it did not help. The mosquitoes were mad. His hands kept slapping at his skin, scratching and clawing, they each piercing straight into the bone. He endured the minutes one by one. Sure enough, just as he had said earlier, around 12 o'clock he could still occasionally make out human shadows passing in the distance. But after 2, he could no longer see a single person. The building entrance opened. Someone came out in a hurry. Tang X tensed at once. Through the willow leaves, he looked and saw that it was not his wife, but a middle-aged man, apparently a tenant in the apartment below his. The man hurried west and soon disappeared into the darkness. An affair? A shadow of suspicion suddenly rose in Tang X's heart. A few minutes later, the entrance opened again and another person came out. This person moved slowly. At a glance, he looked a little like that old man climbing the 6 flights of stairs in the night. He too headed west. The shadow in Tang X's heart changed its shape. After that, 2 more people came out one after another. Both were from this building, a young man and a girl of 17 or 18. They too went west. His wife was the last to come out. She also walked west. Tang X did not have time to think further. He stood up and quietly followed behind her. Once they left the residential compound and kept going west. They reached the outskirts. There was a lake there, and wild grass grew thick along its banks. Those people had all gathered by the lake. Tang X hid in the wormwood from afar. He noticed that there seemed to be no connection between them. They sat in silence on the grass in different directions and did not move again, as if they had all fallen asleep. From a distance, they looked like clay figures. His wife's face was turned in Tang X's direction. Even though Tang X knew she could not see him, he still felt uneasy. What were these people doing coming here to sleep in the middle of the night? Tang X immediately guessed that some mysterious force was at work in the darkness. But he did not act rashly. He kept watching closely. Hundreds upon hundreds of mosquitoes circled Tang X, droning around him. A long time passed. And still no one moved at all. He crawled forward a little and lay down in a patch of grass more than 10 meters from his wife. Even then, he still could not make out her expression. The area around them was dead silent, and the buildings in the distance floated in the dreamlike dark. At last, an old voice spoke. Shouldn't the few of us be leaving now? Tang X judged that this must be the figure he had seen on the stairway. No, there is one more person, his wife said in a cold, sinister voice. Tang X hurriedly shrank back, his hair standing on end. Who else? The old man asked. The one hiding over there. As she spoke, his wife pointed toward Tang X. Several people stood up and looked over. Where? Tang X had no choice but to rise from the grass and walk a few steps to his wife. He asked loudly, Zhihuan, what are you doing here? His wife tilted her body, stood up, brushed the dirt from her hands, and said, We're leaving. Where to? To the west. What west? His wife suddenly lowered her voice and said mysteriously, The Western Paradise. Tang X's heart sank. Who told you to go? The master. Where is he? His wife pointed ahead. There. Tang X turned and looked. There was only a patch of gloomy grass, with no human figure at all. That is the master's direction, his wife said dreamily. Tang X seemed to understand what was going on and anger rose in him. He shouted, Look at yourself. Do you still look like a human being? His wife could not help laughing. None of us are human anymore. Then she let out a deep sigh. We follow the master's orders. Every day at the hour of the ox, we chant sutras here. After 36 days we can go. During that time, no one can be allowed to know. I had planned to leave on my own, but I never expected you to see me. Then I'll have to take you with me. Tang X thought for a moment and asked, How do we go? At that moment, he felt that this person truly was no longer his wife. His wife said quietly, You just walk forward with us. He looked ahead and shuddered. There was the lake. In the night it looked boundless like the sea. At that moment his wife suddenly lunged at him and caught his arm with terrifying accuracy. The others quickly crowded in too. Tang X sensed something was wrong. He violently shook off his wife's hand and broke into a run. As he ran, he shouted back, Zhihuan, you're possessed. Go home! Those people chased him for a few steps, then gave up. Tang X ran home, gasping for breath, and tremblingly picked up the phone to report the incident. 5 lives were a major matter. Very quickly, the police arrived at the scene. Those people were already gone. The lake was pitch black and utterly still. Tang X was stunned. After confirming that the 5 people still had not returned home, the police immediately began searching for the missing victims through the night. They mobilized more than a dozen nearby fishing boats to work the lake. The lake bottom was thick with silt and the weeds were dense, making the search extremely difficult. Even by daybreak, they had not yet recovered a single body. News spread quickly, and many locals came to watch, several hundred in all. The families had all rushed over too, crying bitterly. Tang X did not cry. He stared fixedly at the lake, speechless. He knew his wife could not possibly be alive. At last the bodies were recovered. They had died with complete determination, all of them tied to a thick rope of nettle fiber. But there were only 4 bodies. The missing one was Tang X's wife. Police inspected the lakeshore and found that at the spot where they had jumped in, there were clearly 5 sets of footprints. There was only one possible explanation. After the 5 cult members jumped into the lake, Zhihuan instinctively broke free of the rope and swam ashore. But Tang X said his wife was a dry land person and could not swim. If she had jumped in, she would have surely died. The police continued searching, but still could not find Zhihuan's body. Tang X certainly did not believe in any Western paradise. The master, on the other hand, had already skimmed off plenty of money and fled to the United States, where he had gone to his own Western paradise. Day after day passed, and his wife's body was still not found. Her whereabouts became a mystery. Tang X grew silent. Whenever familiar people saw him, they always asked, Any news? He could only shake his head with bitterness. One night, after eating a little plain boiled noodles, he lay down. For days he had barely been able to eat or sleep. He always felt as if his wife were lying beside him, but when he turned his head to look, there was only emptiness. No one knew how long had passed before he suddenly heard movement. He slowly opened his eyes and his gaze fell on the wedding photo. It was an utterly horrifying sight. Tang X and his wife in the photograph were fighting. His frail wife had viciously clamped both hands around his throat, and was gasping as she shouted, "It's all your fault. You ruined everything and made us fail halfway, so we could not ascend to heaven." Tang X shuddered and woke from the nightmare. This time he clearly saw a person standing motionless above his head. The police had searched for 3 days and still had not found her body. Now she had come back. Her face was black and muddy, with no features visible, only a pale smear. Tang X wanted to sit up, but his head felt as heavy as a mountain. His wife spoke, "I came in before you got off work." "You didn't die?" His wife seemed to smile. "They left. I stayed behind. Since you saw me, I have to take you with me." Tang X was shocked all at once. "Zhihuan, I beg you. Stop this nonsense. I put poison in your plain noodles." As she spoke, his wife lay down softly beside him and whispered, "Don't worry. I will never quietly leave you again. I took poison too. We'll go together. Look, it's the hour of the ox right now. The end."